All right, so on assignment number 3, we're going to continue talking about multiplying polynomials together, but instead of multiplying by a monomial, we're actually going to multiply two binomials together. Let's see what this looks like with this particular example. We're going to draw a picture of what it means to multiply these two binomials together. And so I'm going to do something like this. We're going to assume that over here we have an x and a 2. And so here's what the x is, and then we have two individual things here. And then over on this side we have x and then 4. So it looks something like this. This is 1, 1, 1, and 1. Here we have a 1 and a 1. And what we want to do is find the area of all of these different shapes here. Like for example, this square here is x by x. So that's going to be an x squared. But then this square next to it is a 1 by an x, and 1 times x is x. And that's exactly what this is going to be as well. If I go to these on the side here, like this one here, the length here is 1, but the length here is x. So if I take 1 times x, this is also an x, and an x, and an x, and an x. And so far I have 1x squared. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 x's. And then these little squares here, they're 1 by 1. So if I just take 1 times 1, this is an area of 1, so is this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. That's 8 individual ones. And the area, when I multiply the length and the width together, that's what multiplication means. When I multiply them together, I get x squared plus 6x plus 8. Well, this can be done also without a picture. We can do this by taking this x here and multiplying it by, kind of like distributing twice, multiplying it by the x and the 4. In other words, x times x gives me the x squared, and x times 4 is 4x. Then I would have to take the 2 and do the same thing, multiply the 2 times the x, which is 2x, and 2 times 4 is 8. And you can see here that I have 1x squared. I have 4 x's here and 2 x's here. Well, 2 x's and 4 x's, that's 6 x's. Plus I have 8. And so I ended up with the same thing that I had before, but I didn't draw a picture of it. I just multiplied it kind of like distributing twice. Well, there's an easy way to remember that, and that is called foiling. Foiling stands for first. So I'm going to multiply the first terms together in my two binomials. So that's x times x, which gives me x squared. The O stands for outer. So after I multiply my first terms together, I'm going to multiply my outer terms together. That's the x times the negative 3. Well, that's negative 3x. The I stands for inner. And so once I multiply my outer terms together, I'm going to multiply inner terms together. Well, that's 5 times x, which is 5x. And the L stands for last. And so my last terms, that's 5 times negative 3, which is negative 15. And so some people, you can had a math teacher that I taught with a while ago that called it happy face math, because you can see a happy face there. And so I'm not finished when I do this because I still have to combine like terms. Like this is going to be x squared, negative 3x plus 5x is 2x, and then minus 15. And so my final answer is going to look like this. So I can use a process called foiling, happy face math. Another way to think about it is using a double distributive property, and that's kind of what we did earlier. I can start by distributing the 3x. 3x times 2x, well the 3 times 2 is 6, and x times x is x squared. And then take the 3x times negative 5, that gives me negative 15x. So that's the first distributive, but then I'm going to distribute the second term in the first binomial. I'm going to take 7 times 2x, which is 14x. 7 times negative 5 is negative 35. And so then if I simplify the like terms, I have 6x squared here, a negative 15x and a positive 14x, that's negative 1x, minus 35. And so my final answer is going to be 6x squared minus x minus 35. But you really want to watch your signs, especially when you're distributing. You want to make sure that this would be a negative 5. And if this was negative 2, you'd have to make sure that you watch your signs in your answer. So I'm going to have you try 4 and 5 on your own, get your answers, and then start the video back up again. So pause the video, see if you can do this on your own using any method that you want, and then start the video back up. Hopefully for number 4, this is what you were able to come up with. N times n gives you n squared. If I take n times negative 6, that's negative 6n. Then I want to multiply my inside terms. 4 times n is 4n. 4 times negative 6 is negative 24. So the answer for number 4, if I combine my like terms, I have 1n squared. But then I have a negative 6n plus a 4n, which is a negative 2n. And then the minus 24. And so n squared minus 2n minus 24 is what you should have had for number 4. For number 5, same thing. If I take 3w, let's make these both w's. 3w times 4w, well, that's going to be 12w squared. Then I'm going to take my outside terms. 3w times negative 1 is negative 3w. Then I'm going to take my inside terms. Negative 7 times 4w is negative 28w. And then my last terms, negative 7 times negative 1 is positive 7. So I'm going to combine my like terms. I have the 12w squared. Negative 3w's and negative 28w's is negative 31w's. And then plus 7. And so this is my final answer for number 5. All right, so let's apply this to the area of the shaded region. So I want to find the area of the shaded region in here, but I don't want to include the white part in the middle. So I'm going to start by multiplying this length times this width to get the area of the whole thing. That's going to be x plus 8 times x plus 10. But then I'm going to subtract the area of this white area here, because when I take x plus 10 times x plus 8, that includes everything. But I don't want everything. I want to get rid of this white area. So I'm going to subtract the area of the white part, which is x plus 6 times x plus 3. So I'm going to start by multiplying these two together using the FOIL method or the double distributive. If I take x times x, that's x squared. X times 10 is 10x. Then 8 times x is 8x, and 8 times 10 is 80. And when I simplify these, I get x squared plus 18x plus 80. But then I'm going to subtract what I get when I multiply these two terms together. So here again, I'm going to FOIL. X times x is x squared. X times 3 is 3x. 6 times x is 6x, and 6 times 3 is 18. So when I combine like terms here, I will have x squared plus 3x and 6x is 9x plus 18. And so what I'm going to do is put a 1 here and distribute that 1 so I don't mess up my signs. I will have then a negative x squared minus the 9x, and then minus an 18. So then I can just take these terms and combine them with these terms. X squared minus x squared, those cancel each other out. 18x minus 9x is just 9x. And then 80 minus 18 is 62, which means the area of the shaded region is 9x plus 62. That's what we're going to be doing on our homework assignment for today. We will work hard at that, and then we'll go over questions tomorrow in class.